Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be talking about Lightyear's box office and just how concerning it must be for Disney at this point, with the film coming in way below expectations and could potentially even lead to a massive financial failure for Disney. Yet another financial failure for Disney. In the last few years, they have had several. It all started off, of course, with the film Onward back in 2020, which came out just a couple weeks or so before everything began to shut down. And with a $200 million production budget, that film did not see a return on its investment. And let's just say it was not a very good time for Disney. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk also about where Top Gun Maverick is, as it is now officially past $900 million worldwide, marching its way towards $1 billion, most likely, I would say, at this point. And also where these films compare with Jurassic World Dominion and other such stories. Before getting further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, loud that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey. And also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So some of the biggest news of the day dealing with Lightyear, and this is something that I've talked about on previous streams, is the fact that Lightyear lost its opening weekend to a film coming out in its second weekend. And not only did it lose the weekend of its opening to Jurassic World Dominion, which was in its second weekend of release, on the Monday following its release, so its first Monday, it got third place to a film that's been out for 25 days in Top Gun Maverick. And so that's what we have pulled up currently at the point right now. As you can see, for Monday, we don't have yet numbers that have been updated here or on Box Office Mojo for the Tuesday numbers at this point in time, as at least of the recording of this video. But Jurassic World Dominion, as you can see, won that Monday with $8.6 million, with Top Gun Maverick getting $7.9 million, and Lightyear in third place. Again, brand spanking new film. We're in the heart of summer at this point, so lots of families having the ability to go see films that they did not have typically before. $6.5 million there, and its grand total so far domestically after 4 days of release is only $57.1 million. This is a movie that early projections had somewhere between $75 and $100 million, and it only ended up around $50 million and has only added a little bit since that point in time. Worldwide, this movie has barely gotten past $90 million. So even after 1 week, has not even crossed the $100 million mark. And this is a movie that needs to make around $500 million to break even, meaning that if this movie doesn't get to $250 million as of this coming weekend, at the end of this coming weekend, the chances of this film reaching its break-even point are almost slim to none. And the reason why I say that is because most films, at the very least, or at best case scenario, will double the amount of money they make in the first 2 weeks. Some will do better than this when they have especially releases coming out in other countries later on in their release schedule or other factors like that. We can obviously look at Top Gun Maverick as being a great example of that, seeing that that film has had strong holds from week to week. Right now, there's no indication that Lightyear will see a similar trajectory, at least at this point in time. So all we're left with then is looking at Lightyear and saying, yeah, I don't see it having $100 million, or actually, at this point, around $250 million, $200 million more, a little less than $200 million up its sleeve, even internationally, to get to that point where it would have a good chance of even getting to its break-even point. So let's just say the chances of this film losing money for Disney is actually quite high. Compare that to films like Jurassic World Dominion, which is not a good film, just for the record, but one thing that we cannot deny factually is that the film has been a massive box office success, already bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in profit for Universal. Much of that, of course, is thanks to the $100 million it's gotten from the Chinese Communist Party in China, of which $75 million is going to the CCP, going to call them out for that. Whereas Top Gun Maverick, not releasing in China, has actually officially passed $900 million. Obviously, it has not updated here on thenumbers.com, but it has indeed passed the $900 million mark worldwide, which is insane, seeing that this film has, yes, been out for a few weeks now at this point, but is also not really seeing any signs of slowing down and not seeing a lot of films that are going to provide any competition for the foreseeable future. This coming weekend, you have films like, The Black Phone, and you have Elvis coming out, both of which might make some money, but up against Top Gun Maverick, up against even a film like Jurassic World Dominion, based on the numbers that it's making, not nearly as likely. Because what is going on with Lightyear is that it is coming in well below expectations. As it says right here, Lightyear lacks luster with $86 million worldwide opening. Jurassic World 3 crosses $600 million. Top Gun Maverick nears $900 million and is now past that mark at this point in time. As you can see right here, it says Lightyear was no match for dinosaurs or Tom Cruise at the international box office. The Toy Story spinoff came in below expectations with $34.6 million offshore in 43 markets. So it's in quite a few markets at this point. That landed it in third among Hollywood movies for the overseas session, behind Jurassic World Dominion and Top Gun Maverick. So this is also interesting news right here. Not only did it only get second place domestically in its opening weekend, it got third place internationally, meaning Top Gun Maverick, even after being out for several more days than this film, has made that much more money. Again, Top Gun Maverick has been out for 25 days already. Internationally, it did better than the opening weekend of Lightyear. That is huge news, and that is a huge blow to Lightyear. I don't honestly see where it can possibly get anywhere close to its break even at this point. It says right here, the positive news internationally is that across Latin America, Lightyear opened at number 1 in all markets, making it the highest launch weekend for any animated release during the pandemic era. I thought we were in the post-pandemic era. Guess they never want to let that go, though. It notably posted the biggest debut for any animated release during COVID in Mexico, among others, meaning it's not up to the standard prior to COVID. And by your own admission, the vast majority of people are not afraid to go to the movies anymore. In fact, your own website talks about how, 88% are mostly comfortable with going to the theaters of the movie-going populace? Yeah, how about that? It goes on to say, still there are a number of factors that contribute to the Space Rangers' underperformance, many of which Anthony has described domestically and which also apply offshore. In both areas, awareness was high, but spin-offs don't always tend to catch the same lightning as their motherships. Oh, shut up. Shut up. They're blaming the spin-offs don't always get traction, and also crazy hot weather across Europe. Weather is a legit issue when it comes to the box office. We can't put the fact that Lightyear did knock everyone's socks off down to that. So you are blaming spin-off fatigue or spin-offs not always working and weather as the reason why this film didn't do well? Then how do you explain films like Top Gun Maverick doing better after 24 or 25 days of release? Could it be that one is a really good film, the other maybe not so much? Could it also be the fact that Chris Evans has opened his mouth on more than one occasion, and the film itself and the promoters of the film have on more than one occasion opened their mouths to try and push identity politics, and people are tired of it? Could it possibly be that? No, I guess it couldn't, because any type of metric to try and see exactly why people went to go see the film or why people wouldn't go to see the film are the types of things that you are probably not going to actually poll. It's very difficult to try and find people who chose not to go see a movie, for instance. But I wouldn't be surprised if things like that came up in that conversation. Definitely not, oh, well, the weather was really bad that weekend, and oh, well, spin-offs. Jurassic World Dominion, which is a spin-off and the third film in a brand new trilogy, is at $637 million and is a bad film to boot, coming from a second film which was also terrible, having the original Jurassic World film be just okay. Top Gun Maverick is a sequel 30 plus years after its original release, and this film has a chance to get to $1 billion. Doctor Strange 2 is in a multiverse, terrible movie, still making over $900 plus million. And so please, again, Deadline, please explain to me how spin-off fatigue or spin-offs in general somehow make excuses for this movie. Now, she brought up her good friend Anthony, who covers their domestic box office. So let's see maybe if they have any other excuses, because these are all just excuses at this point in time. As it says here, while Lightyear had good exits if you stack them up against Toy Story 4, it's just not as vibrant. Lightyear had a 61% definite recommend to the latter's 75%. Well, first off, I would raise to question anyone who actually definitely recommended Toy Story 4. Not to mention the fact that they're using a lot of these stats and stat websites that are complete and utter trash, like CinemaScore, for instance. As it goes on to say, Toy Story 4's positivity score was higher at 89% to Lightyear's 85%, and that 2019 sequel had an even split between boys and girls. Also, while an A- CinemaScore is of course great for any movie, an A is even more platinum. Oh, shut up. CinemaScore is a complete joke. They don't even release their data. At least when it comes to post-track, at least when it comes to the people that release these statistics, It's usually a lot easier to follow, and usually there's a lot more information that you can actually garner from it. But please, spare me. Spare me the excuse. Let's try to see if they can find any excuse or any reason as to why the film isn't doing nearly as well. It's interesting how she mentioned saying, oh, they talked about a bunch of stuff going on, and so, hey, I'm not going to retrace those old steps there. And yet when I'm looking around, I don't really see any things there at all. It says, blame the fact that it doesn't appeal to girls, blame Disney Plus for stealing family moviegoers, blame the lack of an ensemble Toy Story cast, heck, blame everything as Lightyear didn't do its magic. So you're making every single excuse, and yet you're leaving out something pretty important. Things like Tim Allen's absence. Things like the politics of Disney. But why would you want to ever mention that? Because you'd be actually telling the truth for once? The fact is that Lightyear is doing terrible. If we go ahead and put this up against some other films, some contemporary films, others a little further back in time, Disney's Onward, I've mentioned this one before, $41.6 million in its opening weekend, or rather by the opening Monday, to Lightyear's 57. These have been adjusted for inflation. Now, obviously, Lightyear's doing better than Onward, but the fact that Onward, which came out right when things were starting to get bad, before things shut down completely, but while things were starting to get there, while people were starting to actually stay home, this, to me, spells disaster for Lightyear at the very least. Now, what does it say about the longer range box office? It's hard to say. But when you compare this to a film like Toy Story 4, a terrible movie, by the way, a terrible film, there's only 3 Toy Story films, let's just be honest here, this is nowhere near that level. So to try to say that it's weather that's the problem, or it's the spin-offs that's the problem, is just not living in reality. It's just not living in the real world. You put that up against the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 film, $76.4 million. Put it up even against Encanto. That came out during the fall. And also, Encanto had its own Disney Plus presence at one point too. And yet, barely that much ahead when it comes to the comparison between those. So Disney, you're in a lot of trouble. And the access media, they're going to continue to try and play cover for you, make every excuse in the book. Again, literally blaming it doesn't appeal to girls. Yeah, I'm sure that's the reason why. I'm sure that's the reason why this film isn't doing well, because the girls don't want to go see it. I'm sure if you made this film all about what's her name from the original Toy Story film, I'm sure that one would have done really, really well. Because, again, the girls. So freaking stupid is this nonsense. But anyway, wanted to give you all an update on the box office since I did not do a good box office breakdown from this past weekend because I was kind of restricted in the Airbnb that I was in Dallas. But I wanted to talk about this bit of news because Top Gun Maverick doing incredibly well, again, past $900 million. Lightyear, not even hitting $100 million at this point in time. And again, it needs to get to $250 million by the end of this weekend if it even has a hope or a prayer to reach its break-even point. We're not even talking about profits here. We're talking about break-even. So depending on where this film falls, which could be well below $200 million, this film could be looking at being around $100 million plus financial loss for Disney, which would really not all be that all surprising. Would also not be surprising if they try to say, oh, you know, we're going to put this out on Disney Plus early to try and save some face and then come up with some fake numbers about people who watched it immediately. All the while it's getting kicked around by Jurassic World Dominion, of all things. Anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think that Top Gun Maverick is giving an even higher chance to get to $1 billion? I think that probably looking at 950 by the end of this coming weekend at least, meaning this film could actually pass up even Doctor Strange by the end of this weekend. That'll be interesting to see. Jurassic World Dominion, do you think that this film has the potential to get $1 billion? Again, it's doing well enough to where after only 2 weeks of release, it's already at $637 million. And so we could see some massive drop-offs, but the fact is we only saw about a 60% drop-off domestically, and it still made some money internationally as well. So this is a film that, even though it's not very good, it is making enough money to at least keep it up in the discussion. And what are your thoughts about Lightyear? Do you think Lightyear is going to be a massive financial flop, a massive financial failure for Disney? At this point in time, it's hard to say anything else. But all I can say for sure is that the excuses from the access media are continuing to be pushed, are continuing to be peddled. And the fact just remains, in the case of Lightyear, it seems it's more so a case of go woke, go broke than of anything else. But then again, what would I know? I'm just talking to a camera on YouTube. You guys are all amazing, and video people, please make sure you smash the like button, slap that fire button on Odyssey. Again, thank you all very much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to my June Keeper of the Bifrost and Chosen of Valhalla level members: Brandon, let's go Brandon, Christopher Bowman, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Father Luca, Mike Jackson, for the win, Mad Mitch Dunaway, or in chat reviews. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel. He just hit 1,000 subscribers. Rosetta Allen, check out her YouTube channel as well. Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, check out her YouTube channel. And also, of course, the amazing Tina B, Empress of the Universe. Check out her YouTube channel, especially her show, Soup to Nuts, that she does with the amazing Stephanie B. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on Patreon. And a huge shout out to all of my subscribers as well over on Subscribestar at these levels: Matt 317, Storm Tracker, the R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, and also, of course, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. You guys are amazing. And a last shout out to my locals members. We have Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan. How about a hockey player? We have Mike Jackson for the win once again, Robert Barnes, and Brett D90. So I want to say thank you again for being my members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and the Chosen of Valhalla levels. If you want your name specially shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, please check out my links at the Patreon and Subscribestar. You can find those in the top link in the video description, the Willow link, as I like to call it, where you can also get access to things like giveaways, things like the podcast I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger, and other cool stuff like that. Anyway, thank you all very much for supporting me for the month of June. You're all amazing, and video people, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.